Hey guys, Morgan's Maintenance. Today's tool review is going to be a tool from Kaiweets. I am marking this video paid promotion because they sent me this out for free to test. I did not buy this, but I can say whatever I want to in this video. It is the Kaiweets 2-in-1 Scraper Utility Knife, the KUF01. So it is a utility knife that also converts into a scraper. Comes with 10 extra blades as well. Has some blade storage, all metal construction. You can read the highlights right there. On the back, if you want to zoom in and pause and read any of that, you can as well. Is made in China. Some people will probably ask that. So this one's going to be the cheapest one of the bunch that I'm going to look at today or show you. This comes in at $18 on Amazon. Also sometimes has a coupon. You can get it for a little bit cheaper. Well, I've also previously looked at the Klein Flickblade version, which is the 44306. That's the one I'm currently running. That's kind of my favorite at the moment. That is a knife scraper combo. And then I don't think I made a video for it, but I'd also previously talked about the Toughbuilt, at least in that video as well. This is what I was using before I picked up that Klein version, and this one runs you $25, so it's the most expensive of the bunch. So you got $25 for the Toughbuilt, $20 for the Klein, and then around $18 for the Kaiweets. It comes in the cheapest, so I'm going to get it out of the package. We'll go over the features. I'll kind of show you the differences between it and the Klein and the Toughbuilt, and then hopefully you can make the decision if any of these are the right fit for you. So starting out looking at the features, one of the nice things about this knife compared to the Toughbuilt is you do get some blade storage. You can open this up. You've got extra blades stored right here. They do have 2 provided inside of there, so you can fit at least 2 in there. You do get a total of 10 blades with this whenever you buy it because you get some extra blades in a small case right here. So it does have onboard blade storage, which is nice. The Klein has that as well. If you open up the knife, but you only get really 1 blade worth of storage right here, it will only really hold 1, but you do get 1 blade in your knife, and then 1 blade in the scraper that I'll show you in a minute. So you do get 3 total blades in there, which is what I've really got in this knife right now. So both of those two kind of do have blade storage, even though this has specific, as far as a specific spot for it. And then if you open this up right here, you can just flick that open. So that's nice, kind of the same as Flickblade or a fastback. It doesn't have as smooth of action as the Klein, but it does flip pretty easily, but it's also a little bit beefier. So you can kind of see the difference between the knife on that one. Let me find the button over here and flick that open. A lot thicker than that of the Klein, so it's a little bit heavier to flick, so you got to put a little bit more ump on it, but it does open up. So here's where this one's kind of different, as far as it's more like the Toughbuilt in the aspect than it is the Klein, because the Klein, to get to that scraper, I've got to open this up, open up my scraper. There that is. That's totally separate from the knife, which you have on this end right here. Well, on this one, everything's right here on this end, much like the Toughbuilt, where I can flick this up and have a knife, or I can flick it up again and then have a scraper all on that same end. So if you do like that aspect, that's kind of the way the Kaiweets is. So right now I've got it flicked open as the knife. Let me flick it back open there like that. But if I want to go to scraper, all I got to do, and it's even one-handed, kind of pull that down, flip this up, let that go. Now I've got a scraper. It won't close back up as long as you're in that scraper mode, so you don't have to worry about closing it and then the blade being exposed out here. And then to flick it back, you just do that. And now I can close it again. So if you like that aspect, this has it where the Klein does not, where everything is right there on one end, where you can switch back and forth really fast. So these two are more like that. The Klein is kind of a knife and then also a scraper, kind of separate from one another. They're not really together the same as both of those are. But then if we get into looking at size, let me go ahead and measure this one while I've got it open. One end to the other on the Klein is about 8 inches, whereas the Kaiweets, if I open this up, I'm looking at roughly about 7 inches, so a little bit shorter. And then the Toughbuilt overall, if I flick that scraper out, you're looking at maybe 7.5 inches. So a little bit bigger than the Kaiweets, but not crazy bigger, but it's still like overall just a thicker, beefier knife. This thing feels huge in my opinion. And you compare it right there. There's a big difference, especially once you get into using the knife itself. I've never liked the Toughbuilt because it's so big up here. Whenever you go to use the knife, you can't hardly see that blade. Kaiweets isn't as bad, and you can put your finger on there and kind of guide things. I still feel like the Klein is the best because it's skinnier up here. It's just a lot smaller knife, so I do like that on the Klein as well. But size-wise, it's pretty similar to most of them. It's definitely the shortest of the bunch. It's a little bit thinner than the Toughbuilt, but also a little bit thicker than the Klein as well. heft-wise, it feels pretty much about the same. All of them feel about the same as far as the weight. And again, I don't have a fancy scale or anything where I'm going to be able to tell you exactly. Now, how they perform, that's where you're going to get into some different things as far as the scraper part. So let me go ahead and get them all in the scraper mode. Then I'll get zoomed in on my little board here that I put some stickers on. I'll show you all of them in action as far as how they scrape. But before I get into the scraping, let me talk about one of the most important things, which is the blade change and the blades on the Kaiweets. I almost forgot that. So the blade change is really easy. You have this little lever here that you push forward like that. That's going to let you pull that blade in and out. The only thing is the Kaiweets blade, as you can see right here, it is a proprietary blade as it has a notch in it. So that's very much like the Toughbuilt. Like the Toughbuilt has this same kind of notch. That's kind of the knock against it compared to my Klein, because the Klein can take basically any blade that you own that looks like this right here. You can take and put that in and out of the Klein. Now, the one downside to the Klein is you do have to have a screwdriver to loosen this up and change that blade. So that's really what this notch allows, is a, toolless change. Now, you might be thinking, I own the Toughbuilt already. I don't really like it. I think I'd like the Kaiweets a little better. I've already got a bunch of these Toughbuilt blades. They look exactly the same, but this Toughbuilt blade, wherever that is, yeah, a little bit different. So if I put this on top of there, the Toughbuilt on top of the Kaiweets, you're going to see that little notch. It's a little bit different, and that makes it so that the Toughbuilt will not latch in whenever you put this in there. So like if I slide that in there, I've never been able to get it to kind of lock into place. So you can't use your Toughbuilt blades. Those are proprietary, and then the Kaiweets blades are as well. So you have to basically ask yourself the question, am I going to have a screwdriver where I'm just going to change my blades and carry the same blades for all my knives, or do I want to buy special blades and not have to carry a tool with me so I can just change my blades really easy? That's kind of the question that you have to ask yourself whenever it comes down to it, because the Kaiweets, you just slide in there, you'll hear it click into place, and then it's locked in there, and then again, you're ready to go to use it as a knife or a utility blade or a scraper. And then to go to the scraper, you're going to flip it down like this. Now, the one thing about the Kaiweets as well, you can kind of see the angle is guided by which side you use. Like if I put it on this side, I'm going to be at a much steeper angle before my blade ends up hitting. You can see how much of an angle that is in comparison to like the Toughbuilt. I'm down a whole lot farther, and then also the same on the Klein tools right there. But if I flip it over to that thinner side, that puts me about on the same plane as both the Klein and the Toughbuilt. So you're always going to remember, basically, if you want to keep it at a little bit less of an angle, you want that Kaiweets kind of showing. And then you're going to, again, go in here to scrape something. You're just going to get up in underneath of it. I've got some stickers on this PVC board, which probably wasn't the best thing to put it on because this PVC board has some ridges in it. And I'm also doing this around a camera. But again, you're just going to get in there, get something scraping, get something started, and then be able to peel it up if you want to. Same thing with the Toughbuilt. They all really perform in about the same way. In my opinion, there's not a lot of difference. The angle on this one's a little bit different, makes it maybe a little harder. The Klein's a little bit different than the Toughbuilt as well, but it's still all going to get you up and underneath of that sticker to where you can eventually either grab it and pull it off. In this case, again, I'm doing it on a board that has some texture to it. If I swap something over to the smarter side, smoother side, it's where I had some stickers before that I was scraping off just to try it out. And if I go with this, it still digs into that PVC the same as it's going to dig into wood or anything else you might have it on. I primarily use mine for glass, but again, once you get underneath of something and you get it going, it's going to scrape it up the same as probably any other scraper. I will say that all these aren't really the same thing as having a razor blade scraper that is super thin handle and all that kind of stuff, because you can kind of change the angle a little bit more. You're kind of stuck with the angle that you're using whenever you're using all three of these. No matter which way you want to look at it, they're all very similar. So the differences don't really come down so much to how they scrape, in my opinion. It's more so the features that you're looking for, blade change that you're looking for, type of blade you're looking for, those kinds of things like that. But there you go, guys. There is the Kaiweets 2-in-1 scraper utility knife, the KUF01. There's definitely some things that I like about it. There's also some things where I still prefer the Klein, but it might be a really good fit for some of you. I do like the fact that everything's on this one end instead of a scraper on one end and a knife on the other. So if I want to swap back and forth, I don't have to kind of change everything around. It's very similar to that of the Toughbuilt, where it's all right there on that end. But I like the fact that this is a little bit smaller knife than the Toughbuilt, and the knife is a little bit more accessible visually as well. I do like the fact that I can basically change back and forth from with one hand up here. I can just go back and forth just like that, swap from scraper to razor blade. But the one downer for me, and the whole reason why I said in the Klein video that I really like the Klein, is that this Kaiweets also takes these proprietary blades. And not only that, the fact that they're not the same as the Toughbuilt, which I already have a bunch of, that means I got to go buy more of these, and I've got to get them shipped to me, all that kind of stuff. If they could make it somehow, some way where it took these blades right here, I think that would be a whole different ball game. But maybe, again, that's the reason why you have to have a tool on the Klein and you don't have to have a tool on the Kaiweets or the Toughbuilt. So there's kind of a give and take there. I have to have a screwdriver with me to change the blade on the Klein, and I don't have to have that on these. So you got to kind of balance. Do I want to buy particular blades, order those, keep those with me? Or do I want to have a screwdriver with me where I can just use any blade I want to? That's the question that you would have to ask yourself. But let me know down in the comments below what you guys think about this one. Maybe you've used some other version besides the 3 that I've got here and you really like it. Drop that in the comments below as well. Or if you've used these, and especially the Kaiweets, drop your feedback in the comments to let us know what you think about it. That way others can read your review in the comment section of my review. More information is always helpful. But again, I hope this video was helpful in some way. You guys stay safe. Have a blessed day. I'll see you on the next video.